I should have left after the pitch showcase. That would have been the smart thing to do. Just shake a few hands, fake a few smiles, and head back to the Airbnb with my dignity still in one piece. But no, I stuck around. Vincent was holding court near the bar, laughing too loud and talking with his hands like he was auditioning for a commercial. Lila stood next to him, sipping wine like she belonged in his world. I watched her out of the corner of my eye. The way she leaned in when he talked, the way she laughed a half-second too long. I knew that laugh. I'd spent 3 years building something with her: mentorship, friendship, something maybe more, and now she was using that same laugh on a guy she met 30 minutes ago. I was about to slip out when Vincent raised his glass and said, "To the real coders, the ones who don't just talk, but actually deliver." I turned around, because I knew that was meant for me. He smiled at me like we were old pals. "Right, Mateo? You're still pushing commits these days." Lila laughed and nudged him. "Careful. Mateo might take that as a challenge." I forced a smile. "Not unless we're setting up a team hackathon tonight." Vincent sipped his drink, then grinned. "Actually, you know what would be fun? A little showdown. For old-school bragging rights." Lila raised her eyebrows. "A code-off? God, I haven't seen one of those since undergrad." "It'll be fun," she said, locking eyes with me. "Come on, Mateo. Don't be shy. Fun, right?" "Sure." We ended up at the side of the event space, someone pulling out a MacBook, crowd gathering like this was fight night in Vegas. I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself I didn't care. But when Vincent rolled up his sleeves and cracked his knuckles like this was some kind of duel, I knew I had to win. 10 minutes. Same problem. Most efficient solution wins. The moment we started, the room faded. Just me, the keys, and the screen. My fingers moved on instinct. This wasn't new. This was my arena. Vincent stalled halfway through. Tried to brute force his way in. I saw the exact line where he'd get stuck, and sure enough, he did. I finished in 6 minutes flat. Everyone clapped. Even a few whistles. Vincent looked like he'd swallowed a lemon. But it was Lila's laugh that stuck with me. Not the sweet one. This one had teeth. "Damn," she said, smirking at me. "Didn't think you still had it." That stung more than it should have. I left before the champagne toasts. Slipped out through the side exit while people were still replaying the code off, like it was some novelty act. I didn't need their applause. I needed air. The sidewalks were slick with spring rain, and my ride share took 10 minutes to show. I stood under a blinking street lamp, phone in hand, staring at nothing. My fingers hovered over Lila's name more than once. But I didn't call. What would I even say? "Hey, thanks for laughing while your new investor tried to emasculate me in front of a crowd." I got back to the Airbnb and dropped my bag on the floor like it owed me something. I kept seeing her face in my head. The way she grinned at Vincent's half-baked jabs. The way she looked through me, not at me. It wasn't just the laugh. It was everything behind it. That cold shift, the way people act once they know they've outgrown you. I sat on the edge of the bed, elbows on my knees, staring at my shoes for what must have been a full hour. The part that really got me? She used to defend me. Back in the early days of the accelerator, she'd pull me into meetings just to give me credit for the tools I built. Told other founders that I had a genius brain with a broken filter. Said it like it was a compliment. Now I was just the warm-up act. The relic. She didn't come back to the Airbnb that night. I didn't text. Didn't call. Just watched the clock crawl past midnight. Then 1, then 2. At some point, I got up and walked into the kitchenette. Not because I was hungry, just because I couldn't sit still. Around 3 a.m., I checked her calendar. I wasn't supposed to, but we still had shared access through the accelerator platform. Old habit. She'd left it open from back when she couldn't keep track of investor meetings and wanted me to help manage her week. There was nothing on there for tonight, or the day before, but she'd blocked off time under miscellaneous twice. That wasn't like her. Lila was obsessive with labels. Every slot color-coded, every meeting tagged. That was the first red flag. The second? Her location history on our rideshare account showed a drop-off at the Pinnacle, a luxury co-working space with a private rooftop suite. Around 11:40 p.m., she still had access to the company travel account. My company. My card. I didn't say anything. Just opened a browser and quietly downloaded a location tracking app. One of those quiet ones, the kind that doesn't send push alerts. I installed it on her phone using an old device sync I still had access to. It took all of 10 minutes. I didn't feel guilty. I felt ready. The next morning, I was calm. Too calm. The kind of calm that comes after something inside you breaks and there's nothing left but cold clarity. I didn't shave. Didn't shower. Just poured some stale hotel room coffee and waited for the dot on the tracking app to move. It did at 10:12 a.m. She was at the Pinnacle again. Same building. Same location marker. Still nothing on her calendar. I grabbed my keys and left without even finishing the coffee. The drive took 15 minutes, maybe less. I parked 2 blocks down and walked the rest of the way. My heart didn't race. My palms didn't sweat. None of the usual signs. It was like my body already knew what was waiting for me. The building was sleek and glassy, all white interiors and gold accents, like it was designed to make startup founders feel rich before they ever raised a dollar. I toured it once. Knew they had a private top-floor suite marked Founders Retreat. Reservation only. Discreet. No paper trail if you paid in crypto or company perks. I stayed in my car across the street. At 10:41, I saw them. Lila and Vincent. She stepped out of a black SUV first, sunglasses on, hair down, laughing at something he said. Vincent followed, hand on the small of her back like it belonged there. Not flirty. Familiar. They walked through the sliding doors without looking around. Like they'd done this before. I didn't follow. I didn't storm in. I just reached into the glove box, pulled out my tripod, and clipped my phone into place. My hands were steady as I hit record. They paused at the elevator. Vincent said something and Lila threw her head back, laughing like a woman without a single secret to hide. Then the elevator doors opened, and they were gone. I let the footage run for another 2 minutes. Then I stopped recording. I sat there for a while, engine off, window cracked just enough to let in the noise of the city. A siren wailed in the distance. A couple argued on the sidewalk. Someone honked without any real purpose. Inside that car, it was quiet. I should have felt angry, or heartbroken, or betrayed. Instead, I felt something harder, something colder. Purpose. I reviewed the video once, just to make sure their faces were clear. Then I uploaded a backup to cloud storage. I didn't text her, didn't call, didn't ask for explanations. I just leaned back in the seat, eyes on the mirrored glass of the building. If I was going to be ghosted, lied to, and used, I'd at least make sure I had proof. The front desk staff didn't even blink when I walked in. That's the thing about confidence. People assume you belong. I wore my company jacket, badge still clipped on, laptop bag slung over my shoulder like I was just another founder checking in for a demo day rehearsal. The Pinnacle's elevator dinged softly as I rode up alone, my thumb brushing the cold edge of the flash drive in my pocket. Backup number 2. I wasn't nervous. I was past that. At the 10th floor, a clean-cut concierge greeted me with a plastic smile. "I'm here to drop something off for Lila Tran," I said, setting the laptop bag on the counter. "Founders Retreat Suite. She left this in our last session." He nodded and turned to the tablet on his desk, scanning the guest registry. "She's in 10R, he said after a pause, a little slower now. "I can deliver it if you'd like." I smiled. "I'm under her team account. She'll want to see me. It's about the altimeter pitch files." He hesitated, then gave me the access badge. Suite 10R. The hallway was long, all white with sleek black numbers beside each door. No noise. Just the hum of central air and my own footsteps. I paused outside the door. Took one slow breath. Knocked. It opened almost instantly. She must have been right by the door. And just like that, I saw it, that flicker in her eyes. The way her whole face shifted when she saw me. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. Her hand stayed on the doorknob. "Mateo," she started, but her voice cracked halfway through. I didn't let her finish. I raised my phone and tapped the screen. It was already recording. Behind her, I heard movement. Vincent's voice, casual. "Who is it, Lee?" He stopped when he saw me. His shirt was half-buttoned. His watch was off. He looked exactly like what he was. I kept the camera steady. Vincent raised an eyebrow. "This is childish." I didn't respond. Lila reached toward me, but I stepped back. "We're done," I said, voice flat. "No, Mateo, wait. Just let me." Her hand hovered in the air like she didn't know whether to grab me or shield herself. I stepped back again. "You don't get to explain now," I said. "You already made the decision." Vincent stepped forward slightly, eyes hard. "You're making this personal. We're professionals. You don't want to escalate." I gave him a long, slow look, then smiled barely. "Check your inbox," I said. And then I walked away. No yelling, no grand scene. Just silence, except for the click of the door closing behind me. The elevator ride down felt longer than it was. When I reached the street, the morning sun was still rising, reflecting off the windows like nothing had happened. But everything had. I slipped the phone back in my pocket and walked away without looking back. Back at the Airbnb, I didn't waste time. My hands moved before my thoughts could catch up. Flash drive plugged in, cloud backup checked, external hard copy made. I copied the raw footage, named it pinnacle_10 or _full.mp4, and saved it in 3 separate folders, each with different access permissions. I opened a fresh doc and started typing notes. Dates, timestamps, locations. Every detail that mattered, logged with the kind of focus I hadn't felt in months. There's a difference between heartbreak and strategy. Heartbreak waits for closure. Strategy builds its own. I called my lawyer around noon. "Mateo," she said, sounding half asleep. "What's going on?" "Need to file a report," I said. "Breach of ethics. And maybe misuse of company funds." There was a pause. "This about Lila?" I didn't answer directly. She used the accelerator's stipend to meet a private investor. "Off-book. I've got proof." Her voice sobered fast. "Okay. Send me everything." By the time I hung up, I had 3 folders ready. One for the legal team, one for the accelerator board, and one just for me. Insurance. Vincent had made the mistake of speaking to Lila in the suite while I recorded. He hadn't just ruined a reputation. He tied it to company resources and violated non-disclosure agreements. All traceable. All documented. I didn't hear from Lila that afternoon. But by 4 p.m., my phone buzzed. Lila, 6 texts. "Mateo, please talk to me. I messed up. I didn't mean for it to go that far. Can we meet? Please." I stared at the screen, thumb hovering over the reply icon. Then I hit the lock button. Let her panic. Let her pace around wondering when I'd respond. If I'd respond. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to cry. I was going to dismantle everything she built on top of me calmly, methodically, piece by piece. At 6:17 p.m., I emailed the head of the accelerator and CC'd legal. Subject line, potential ethics violation, Lila Tran/Vincent Kerr. Body, please see attached files. Happy to discuss further, but I believe immediate review is warranted. I attached the footage, the calendar inconsistencies, and the receipts tied to my business account. Then I shut the laptop and sat in silence, watching the sunset behind the hills. She had built her game on silence and charm. But I didn't need charm. I had evidence. Lila came home just after 9. I heard her key in the lock, the pause before the door opened, like she was still deciding whether to face me or turn back around. She walked in slowly, coat draped over one arm like she was returning from a regular day at the office. Her face was calm, too calm. Practiced. She'd been rehearsing this. "Hey," she said softly, like this was just another Wednesday night. "You ate?" I didn't answer. I sat on the couch with my laptop closed, the folder still resting on the coffee table. She didn't look at it. She set her coat down and perched on the armrest, like we were in one of those old, soft-focus rom-coms. Like she could smile her way through this. "Listen," she started, eyes locked on mine. "I know this week's been weird, and I get it. You feel blindsided. But you've been pulling away for a while, Mateo." There it was. The spin. "You've been so checked out," she continued, crossing one leg over the other. And I was starting to feel like I was alone in this. "You weren't showing up the same way anymore." I raised an eyebrow. "So you decided to show up in a hotel suite with Vincent instead?" Her jaw tensed, just slightly. "It wasn't like that," she said quickly. "We were just talking. You don't understand the pressure I've been under." "Lila." I reached forward, flipped open the laptop, and tapped the spacebar. The video started without sound. Her and Vincent, smiling, walking in, his hand on her lower back. The elevator. She froze. I didn't look at her. Just let the video run for 10 more seconds, then closed the screen. Her voice was smaller now. "Mateo, don't," I said. "Don't lie. Don't twist it. Don't pretend like I imagined it." She didn't say anything. For the first time in days, the silence felt honest. "I trusted you," I said, leaning back. "Not just with the business. With me. And you made a choice." Her hands fidgeted in her lap. Her perfect pitch voice was gone now. "It just happened. I didn't mean for it to." "You scheduled it," I said flatly. "You booked it with the accelerator card." Her head dropped slightly, like she'd finally run out of lines. "I'm sorry," she whispered. I nodded slowly. "Cool." She looked up sharply, caught off guard by how calm I was. Maybe she expected yelling, slamming doors. A big, messy breakdown. Instead, I stood up, grabbed my keys from the counter, and walked toward the door. "Where are you going?" she asked, her voice cracking now. To get some air. When will you be back? I paused with my hand on the doorknob. I'm not sure I will be. I didn't go far. Just sat in the car parked down the block, engine off, watching the light in our Airbnb kitchen window. A soft amber glow against the dark. She paced a few times. Then nothing. I waited 40 minutes before going back. When I walked in, Lila was sitting on the floor against the couch, her shoes off, a half-full glass of wine beside her. She looked up, eyes red but dry. You came back, she said quietly. Not for long, I replied. She stood, brushing her hands on her jeans. Can we please just talk? We already did, I said, heading for the closet. I grabbed one of the spare duffel bags and tossed it on the couch. You've got until tomorrow to get your stuff out. Her mouth dropped open. Wait, what? You heard me. The lease is in my name. The card is mine. Everything tied to this trip, this company, this apartment, you're on it because I put you on it. She blinked like she hadn't really thought this far ahead. You can't just, Mateo, we're still in the accelerator. I need a place to. Then you should have thought about that before you booked a suite with a guy who keeps trying to poach early-stage startups behind closed doors. That wasn't that she stopped herself. Tried again. It was a mistake. I shook my head. No. A mistake is sending a Slack message to the wrong channel. This was calculated. Her voice sharpened. So you're just throwing everything away? I looked her dead in the eye. You already did. She folded her arms, the last bit of her confidence flickering to life. Fine. You want me gone? You'll regret this. I'm the reason you even got invited to this cohort. You think these people are loyal to you? I didn't blink. I'm not building anything with people who need to be seduced into loyalty. She let out a bitter laugh, but it didn't sound strong. Well, so you just get to be the victim here? No, I said, picking up the duffel and unzipping it. I get to be the adult who finally stops letting people exploit him and smile while they do it. She didn't move. I pointed at the bag. Start packing. She stayed frozen for a beat longer, then walked to the bedroom. Every step was slower than the last. 10 minutes later, she came out with a few clothes folded in her arms. She dropped them into the bag without looking at me. When she zipped it shut, she said, You never fought for me, Mateo. I paused, then answered without emotion. I don't fight for people who already surrendered. She was gone by morning. I didn't help her carry her things. Didn't walk her to the door. I just sat at the kitchen table with a mug of coffee, watching the steam rise as she pulled the suitcase out behind her. The door clicked shut with a soft finality. The silence was warm. I didn't feel victorious. I felt finished. A few hours later, I got the first text from Vincent. Let's not escalate this further. We're professionals. No need to ruin reputations over misunderstandings. No greeting. No apology. Just that smug tone dressed up as reason. I didn't respond. Instead, I uploaded the footage cleanly edited, no commentary, to a private link. I sent it to one address, the legal counsel of VentureNest, the firm behind the accelerator program. BCC to the board. Then I replied to Vincent with 3 words. Check your inbox. He never texted back. By sunset, I had a missed call from a number tied to his VC fund. I didn't answer. Let them squirm. Let them piece it together. Let them sit in a room trying to explain how a mentor and founder they vetted both torched an ethics clause while pretending it was just a connection. I wasn't angry anymore. That part had burned off days ago. What I felt now was clarity. I saw myself clearly for the first time in months, not just a guy who wrote code and stayed late to clean up after other people's messes. Not just a mentor, or a backup plan, or the reliable one. I was the man who stayed silent too long, and then stopped. The emails kept coming all week. Vincent's reputation took a hit, harder than I expected. Investors don't like risk, especially when it comes in the form of secret hotel meetings and NDA violations. Lila's cohort access was suspended pending review. That was the phrase they used in the official statement. She never messaged me again. One night, I logged into our old Git repo. Her last commit was a half-finished feature. Sloppy, rushed. She probably thought I'd clean it up. I didn't. I closed the tab and opened a new one. Started building something else. Something from scratch. Because the thing about being underestimated is, eventually, people forget you know how to start over. And when they finally realize what they lost, it's already too late.